Welcome to Leading the Follower with your host, Rebecca Benston. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Leading the Follower. It's Monday, November 13th. It's been a while since I have been able to get on and do a podcast. Had a lot of things going on and just wasn't a lot of time to put into doing anything recording wise. So had a few minutes today and wanted to say a few things that have been on my mind. So first of all, I want to say that last few months have been a little challenging. We moved into a new place and just seems like ever since we've moved, we've had one thing after another go wrong in the house and just putting out fires all the time seems like. So it's just been very challenging to even be motivated to do a podcast since podcasts are not really my thing anyway. But I had a message today during my prayer time that I wanted to kind of talk about and process. So if you'll bear with me, I'm going to try to explain a little bit about what that was. Let's see here. I'm getting all these notifications and I need to make them go away because they are kind of annoying. So generally, as I'm going through my prayer time in the morning, I get a verse or a series of verses that I need to look up. Just comes into my head and I look it up and try to connect that to whatever's going on in my life to see if I can maybe get whatever wisdom I need to get from that. Because I don't know, I just feel like if it's a random occurrence that it's more likely something I probably need to know than if I force it. So if I don't get one, then I just don't get one. So today, as I was going through, I asked God, I said, well, what would you like for me to look at today? And and sometimes this happens too, I'll get verses that I know don't exist in the Bible that I have, because I know there are only so many books in each, um, so many chapters and verses in each of the books in the Bible. So I'll know usually right offhand that doesn't sound like anything I'm going to be able to find. And this was one because it was James 8:11, which obviously James only has 5 books in it. So I think it's 5 books, but so I look and I said, I think I'm going to do some research and I'm just going to pick um, I'm going to pick a whole book in the Bible and study it for a little while and just kind of go in and, if God gives me different verses to look at with that every day, I'll go ahead and do that for now because I need to switch it up a little and get a little bit more in depth with what I'm doing. So he gave me 8:11, so I looked and I said, I'm going to just read through James 1. And I read it, and as it turns out, I think maybe he was talking about, book 1 or chapter 1 and verses 8 through 11, because those seem kind of pertinent to me, and and they kind of resonated with me as well. So let's see if I can maybe read a little bit of that for you here in just a second. I wasn't really prepared with how I was going to talk about this because it just kind of came to me this morning. But I looked it up. I Googled, what's one of the most motivational books in the Bible? And of course, James came up as being one that was most encouraging. So that's how I settled on James. So As I'm reading through, things are kind of making sense with me. And I thought, this is good. This is resonating. I'm getting something out of this. So you get to, I'm going to start back up at verse 5, I believe, because it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, which obviously resonated with me, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double minded and unstable in all they do. That's verse 8. So, obviously, that one got me, because I am a very emotion driven person. I tend to get really frustrated with everything before I will allow myself to take a moment and sit down and just absorb what's happening, figure out the solution, the lesson, and work through the problem. My initial response to everything is just a very emotional reaction. That's just like generally frustration, anger, despair, whatever it is. It's not very good. And I know this about me. I know that I have a short fuse and a kind of a bad temper. And I have worked on this for many, many years. And I'm better than I used to be. So, but I do know this is a flaw that I have. That I have this characteristic that is not the best, and I don't deal with things as well as I should sometimes. So when I saw this, I thought, yes, that's true. Um, I need to be firm in my belief. I need to not have doubt, and doubt can come out as anger and frustration. And I certainly don't want God to think that I'm doubting His ability to do anything. It's generally that I'm doubting my ability to step into the right path so that I can receive what He has for me. I figure it's not that He's not going to send the bus, it's that I will probably miss it when it comes. So that's been my mentality. And as I kind of read on, it says believers in humble circumstances ought to take pride in their high position, but the rich should take pride in their humiliation, since they will pass away like a wildflower. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant, its blossom fails and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich will fade away, even while they go about their business. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, having stood the test. That person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him. That was verse 12. So that 8 through 11 was really a good foundation to some of the things that I've been trying to process. I've been very frustrated with the way things are going, and it really has stalled me, because it seems like there's been opposition at every turn. And that's the way it happens. And I know from past experience, from ongoing experience, that generally when you're on the right track and you're doing something that God wants you to do, the more right you are, the more wrong everything feels outside. Like it feels like everything is pressing on you and trying to trip you up, and there are more obstacles thrown in your way. Or that can also happen when you're trying to force something that's not God's will. That's His way of telling you. But if you're fairly certain that you are heading in the direction that God wants you to go, and everything that you're doing is meeting opposition, sometimes that's a call for you um, to kind of step back, see where you need to lean more on God, and understand your role versus His role in things. Where are you trying to take too much power and authority that you haven't really been given? Um, God gives us responsibility to do things, but sometimes we try to step into more of an authority role than we actually have, and we try to take that authority away from Him. So we need to be careful that as we're stepping and moving forward, we're still allowing Him to guide us and guide our steps. and not just running away with the ball. So, um, so as I read through this, I thought, well, this really does hit the nail on the head today. This is what I've been dealing with, and it was very encouraging. And as I read it, I thought, yes, people who seem to have it made here in this world, obviously, they're not always as happy and together as they seem. And when we are dealing with, things getting broken, things not working, that sort of thing, just understand the trial is part of the lesson and that we need to push forward with faith, knowing that God has us, knowing that there is a reason for every part of what we're going through, and knowing that He will bring us through it. We just have to hold on to Him and we have to keep moving. So, hopefully, that will uh, that will give you a little bit of inspiration this morning. I don't know. Today, for me, it was very helpful to read that. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and continue reading in the book of James this week and see if I can get any more insight from it. I know I do have more to say, but I think I'm going to put that on another recording, and share that later in the week, because I think what just came through as I was talking was probably more important than what I had originally written down. Um, or I transcribed it from a voice recording from earlier today, as I tend to do because I'm always multitasking. Um, so hopefully this part will be useful to you in some way. I hope that if you are struggling with something and things seem to be just so problematic, and you can't seem to get past an obstacle, please take a moment, step back, pray, ask God for guidance, and then actually listen and take His hand and move forward so that you can go where He needs you to go, in the knowledge that He will take you to it and through it. Um, you don't have to push your way through alone. You don't have to. Um, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to pave the road all by yourself. He's with you, and if it's something that He wants you to do, um, He will help you through the obstacles. So don't give up too early. Sometimes it's painful, sometimes it's not comfortable, and sometimes we have to endure a lot of things that we really don't like. But we also have to be honest with ourselves about whether or not our tolerance level is rooted in faith, or if it's rooted in our ego. And I know for me, I have not ever been the most patient person in the world. Um, I've always wanted things to happen more quickly than they probably should. I don't like going through long, drawn out processes. I'm very much a let's get to the heart of the matter, get it done type of a person. So for me, tripping over some of these things that look like obstacles to me is most likely just like regular steps that I feel like are unnecessary because I don't like to wait. So that's my problem. That's not God's problem. That's not Him making it difficult for me. That's me not letting Him make it easy for me. So understand the difference between where you are your obstacle and where maybe God has placed an obstacle, or maybe the devil has placed an obstacle. It's hard to see sometimes. It's hard to see the difference between those three scenarios, but but if you pray on it and you take time to evaluate the whole situation, it will be clear to you. Um, and sometimes the answer is just to stop and not move at all for a little while until it clears up, or maybe it's not the right path, and you just need to go back and ask for a different assignment, or something like that. But prayer is the place to start. Reach out, ask Him, what am I supposed to do with this? How am I supposed to get through it? Am I even supposed to be looking at this or going in this direction? Help me out here, And if you got to ask him 100 times, just keep asking till he answers. So I know it's not the prescribed, it's not the instant gratification that we really like to get. And when we're working with God on things, it often is not instant. Sometimes he surprises us and it's right there before we even ask for it. But in a lot of cases, he wants us to learn. And so he puts us to the test, and he makes us go through the steps that we don't want to go through so that we can fully understand what it took to get there and fully appreciate that. So, as I'm going through these steps and learning to appreciate where I'm at and how I got there and where I'm going, um, I'm going to lean on him. And I hope you will too. So, have a wonderful day. Try to get out of your own way and just be thankful for your blessings today. Happy Monday. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure to check out our website and blog. The blog is at www.leading-the-follower.com. Thanks and God bless.